Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Tenova Healthcare. You know my feeling for Tenova. Over the past month, a good friend of this show has had his daughter in a Tenova facility. We want to wish her the best today. Get well, Brooke. Also, we know that she is in good hands with Tenova. If it's anything like the treatment I got, like the folks in my family get, nobody beats Tenova. Tenova.com to learn more about their great services. All right. Want to, if we can, Molly, my director, if we can go to the WIPE board. I know that's throwing things off. Look at, she's fantastic. All right, now we started 2 weeks ago with 70 potential candidates. I had people laugh. Wait, 70 potential candidates. I said, look, knowing that they never finish where you think they're going to finish, I wanted to put in as many wild cards as possible. We've still got new wild cards who aren't even on the list. I've marked a lot of guys out who've moved, who we said the other day there's no way Tennessee was going to go after them in the first place, who've said no, who've re-upped contracts, et cetera, et cetera. What you're looking at off that board that's still available, T. Martin, Kevin Steele getting a lot of mention, the former Vols, and Les Miles. Ryan Callahan, your guys at Go Vols 24/7 had a report on Les Miles yesterday.
Yeah, we've heard that Tennessee was in contact with Les Miles on Saturday, and I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. I don't know that means he's the leading candidate for the job. We know that Les Miles is interested. He's made that pretty clear to a lot of people. And Phillip Fulmer said, we want to hire someone who wants to be at Tennessee, so I think that's important. The fact that he has that SEC experience obviously matters. So I think he's someone to keep in mind, not necessarily where they're going right now, but the fact that there's been contact I think shows he's at least in play.
I can tell you that Miles does want to be here because he actually called a booster friend of mine, and the booster finally got back to him. And the booster initially said, I wouldn't hire Les Miles. When he finished the conversation, he said, I'd hire him.
Really? That impressed?
He said he was that impressed with Les Miles talking to him. So I think Miles would be in play because I think Phillip Fulmer wants to go for kind of a seasoned veteran coach. I do.
All right, well, list some others. You threw out a name that surprised me. Mack Brown.
Rick Neuheisel first mentioned him a while back, and so I did a little snooping around, and I think Mack Brown would definitely be interested. Would Fulmer go in that direction? I don't know, but he's one to consider. There's one you knocked off the board that would David Cutcliffe.
Yeah, would Cutcliffe come back now?
I think that call would be made. I think there'll be a conversation whether David would come back or not. I do feel strongly that Cutcliffe would not have come here if Curry were the AD.
Right.
Now that there's a change, I think there's a possibility. Don't know if he would, but I think there's a possibility.
Well, then you're Cutcliffe, Brown, Miles, all guys over 60, so you'd be looking at turning around and doing this again. And as Tennessee has shown you, you don't want to do this again. But in terms of the young, well, Kevin Steele isn't exactly a spring chicken either, but
he's 59.
He'll turn 60 in the spring.
So how about another Kevin? Sumlin and Chavis. I mean, isn't that in play?
I don't think Chavis is.
All right.
I think Sumlin might be.
And doesn't the FSU, the Florida State thing, changes a little bit of the timeline too for some people?
Well, you're still competing with Arkansas and Florida State. Everybody else, all the other kids got what they wanted for Christmas. I mean, Florida got Mullen, who Tennessee wanted and was waiting on. Texas A&M went on
to go to Arkansas. Auburn could then be looking for a coach. I mean, the carousel has been more interesting than it's been in a while.
Yes, absolutely. T. Martin, he doesn't have a lot of experience, even as a coordinator. For 2 years, he's been a coordinator. Do we see Tennessee? Do you think he's way up on? I think fans look at him. I think fans put him higher than any of the people actually doing the search put him.
I would agree.
Okay, so I think that probably holds true with Phillip Fulmer as well.
I do. If you were to go in that direction, I think you'd have to be very careful about the coordinators that you bring in. But if you're going to hire T, you're going to tell him what coordinators he needs to hire. I don't know that would be fair to him either. So. I don't see Tennessee going that direction. I think the more likely possibility would be hiring a coach and then T coming in as an offensive coordinator. That would be more likely, I think.
There's talk of people saying, why not get Les Miles and make T your coach in waiting? So I'm not a big fan of the coach in waiting stuff.
I'm skeptical of Tennessee going that direction. I don't think Phillip Fulmer wants to force that on anybody, but I do think one of the things T. Martin would have in mind, if he's been making this pitch kind of behind the scenes, a lot of former players rallying in his corner. I think he's trying to put together a staff that would make him a more enticing candidate and telling people who he could bring with him.
One other thing, VolQuest.com reported this morning that Phillip Fulmer told a recruit, at least a recruit says Phillip Fulmer told him, he will have a coach in place by the time he visits next weekend. So that's a quick turnaround for a man who just got the job and hasn't done a search before. Let me ask you this. He's never done the search before, but are you concerned that his last big hire was an offensive coordinator named Dave Clawson, and that didn't work? Does that play into it at all? That okay, if you never hired a head coach, let's look at his assistant coach run. He had a very good run at the beginning, very good. At the end, you had more people complaining about different people. Dave Clawson, of course, was a hire that didn't work, but Dave Clawson is a good head coach. Does that impact your thinking at all, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you have to be concerned still about where things are at Tennessee because coaches that are candidates that are out there still have concerns about what's going on at Tennessee. Now, Phillip Fulmer might be able to sell the hire, whichever coach that ends up being, more easily to the fans than John Currie would have. But in terms of the process that still has time to go, coaches are concerned about what's going on at Tennessee, so I think fans probably should be too.
Okay, I tell you what, let's go ahead and catch a break here. And when we come back, we'll talk more about Phillip Fulmer, savior or saboteur. Come on back on the Sports Source.